Russo Italiano sponsors Boxing Bros UK.
Hello everybody, this is Boxing Bros UK. I am the boss Chris. It's Andrew the Boxing Brain.
Bosh.
We just want to say we are sorry, Boots, how wrong we were. You got to hold your hands up when you get it wrong, but we could only go on past performances. And what I think I've learned from the Boots in his fight, he's like Tyson Fury, Billy Joe, all them guys. He fights to the level of his opposition. If he's not motivated, he puts a half-assed performance in because he knows he can just win on his raw talent and his power. He doesn't have to. But when he thinks, right, this is a guy, a serious guy, he puts on a masterclass like he did at the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't really fault him. Absolutely, footwork, power, body shots, everything. He just he showed why everyone was so hyped about him in the first place when Eddie Hearn first signed him, and everyone was dead jealous, thinking that Matchroom's back.
Yeah, well said. I think, look, when you're analysing, you put your neck on the line. All you can do, and it's the same in, football to a certain degree, form book. For football teams, won 4 or 5 games out of 6 or 7, you think, yeah, they're in good form at the moment. Fighters is a bit of a weird one. It's a really weird one with fighters because, it's an old cliche. You can only judge them on their last performance. And I think it's made Chuck, I always call him Chuck because it's so hard to pronounce. So that's what I'm calling him. And it's his stock has rise for those 2 performances against Boots. And, very, very durable guy, Chuck was. And, he was eating, well, like we were saying, he was eating a lot of hooks and a little bit lazy with leaving his lead hands in both stances down and relying on his movement and staying in the pocket too much, looking to get him out of there too hasty. And like you say, is he one of those guys? There's a unification fight. We also have to mention, Chris, that he was able to rehydrate because of those clauses or not clauses when it's unification. Both would have gone to the bar in the morning to make sure they were proper, full of energy and carved up to the hilt and all the rest of it.
Breakfast.
Yeah, 2 pints of water, bang, straight. So look, take nothing away. At the end of the day, regardless of our predictions and analysing his previous fights, he was superb, wasn't he? Absolute surgeon in there. Yeah. It was surgical, masterclass. And Stanionis was very game. I think he can definitely come again. He's got a bit about him. And I just got to give him my props, really. At the end of the day, he performed stupendously and fair play to him.
It was faultless, and I'm not Stanionis. I'm not taking it back. He is a good fighter. Like I said like we said in the preview, he's good at everything. He does everything really well. He's not but them kind of guys, they be world champions for years. He was a great fighter, and he made him look ordinary, and he just stuck it. And he was trying his hardest. You could see that he was trying that. He just couldn't take it. And obviously, the only thing, it's not a criticism. It's just as a fan, I want to know what you're doing. Are you staying at welterweight or are you going up to 154 or what? Because he didn't say. He went
aloof, wasn't he? Aloof.
My family, and I'm not worrying about.
I'll tell you.
Yet.
I'll give it.
Not just please.
Just to make it sort of so people watching they'll probably, because it's like you either tune in and they're I want Chris and Andrew's views on where to go next. And I'd imagine like the easy route is Barrios and then Brian Norman Jr. Although I don't think Brian Norman Jr. I think he's decent. I think Barrios is the easier of the 2 potentially. I think he'll go Barrios and Brian Norman Jr. and maybe try and get the undisputed at welter, then move up to welter. Maybe he'll fight someone like Boachuk, who's a good marker for someone. Boachuk's sort of, just below where he's competed at world level, hasn't he? But I think he could have got a draw or nicked the fight against Virgil Ortiz Jr. Because I think Virgil Ortiz Jr. won that by split decision, didn't he, against Boachuk, if I remember rightly. But that was nip or tuck. So I think he'll go undisputed and then maybe move up. What do you think, though, Chris? What do you suspect he might do, just as a gut? What does your gut tell you?
I don't know. It bewildered me. because he's very, like, his career, he's been very, very well,
cagey.
actually, what am I talking about? He's been like, he's cagey,
Yeah.
like, so you just don't know. First, he said, oh, he wants to move up. I'm too tight at the weight when he had a flat performance against Avanesium. Then next, he's supposed to fight Ortiz. And then he's saying, actually, I want to be undisputed, so I'm not moving up to 154. And then now he's saying he doesn't know what he wants to do. But I suppose he's being honest. Maybe he doesn't. But I don't know if them guys were fighting because they know they're going to lose. So they might price themselves out like, you're going to have to buy the belts off me.
Yeah, good points. Good points. You know? Yeah.
And then what does he do? Crawford's not staying at 154. He's fighting Canelo. So Ortiz is the only fight up there. And maybe he thinks, I need a few more fights that I can get up for. So I hope, and I do believe what you said, undisputed at welterweight, then move up to 154 and beat Ortiz. I do think he could beat Ortiz. And I think he can. Switched on. Yeah. We'll see even better than what we've seen there because Ortiz had that close fight with who's that guy that
Madrimov. Yeah.
Madrimov. So Madrimov's got great footwork. So's boots, and he's got power. Because Madrimov, I know Ortiz won that fight, but Madrimov didn't get his head off and like a beating. He got beat, but not by too much. He definitely thought Ortiz won, but it wasn't like a whitewash. So I think Boots and his speed and his power, he can deal with Ortiz because Ortiz has only got one kind of.
I'd love to see that fight. I mean, I understand the undisputed because it raises his stock more. I think the first thing they need to do, and I mean, I don't really know where to go with Eddie Hearn. I mean, he's putting an absolute shocker of a Dalton Smith show on. I mean, these British cards are just shocking now, but he needs to do a bit of hardcore promotion of Boots because I do get a bit frustrated with these potential pound. Well, Terence Crawford's already a pound for pound. Boots is potentially, a top 10 pound for pounder, and nobody outside of the hardcore game knows who the fuck he is. Like, what's going on with the promotion of this guy? I don't understand. So, for me, if I was managing his career, he's going to want the legacy fights of undisputed, which he'll do easily at welter.
Yeah.
But for me, if I was his promoter, I'd be like, move up to super welter, fight Virgil Ortiz Jr., who's, this is probably not fair to say, a slightly better version of Stanionis, very sort of, straight up and down sort of fighter, walks forward, pressure. I've got some skills, don't get me wrong, but very game. Virgil Ortiz Jr. is a big name, and if he beats him, who's a similar sort of style to Stanionis in some respects, that kind of puts his name up there. So my promoter head would say move up Virgil Ortiz Jr., but the legacy kind of, I guess, fights are Brian Norman Jr. and Barrios. So he's got two different routes, really, I suppose, unless he does all of it. I suppose.
But the only thing is, people don't normally move down
once they've gone up,
a bit like in weight, so they don't go up and go back down. So I think if he leaves welterweight, he's never coming back.
Especially at 28.
He would have missed a good opportunity.
What is he, 28 now?
Yeah, he would have missed a good opportunity.
Yeah, well, because that's the interesting thing with the Conor Benn fight, just to shut, because going all out to middleweight, and he said loads of times he's going back down to welter to become a world champion, but as you get a bit older, putting on that weight don't come off so easy, does it, going back down? So...
No, it's really hard.
What would you? Here's my question for you: if you was his manager or promoter, what would you advise him to do? What would you be on? If you was on the phone to him now, what would you be saying?
Undisputed. Yeah. That's what I'd say. I'd say, right, Terence Crawford was undisputed at 140. He was undisputed at 147, and then now he's trying to be undisputed at super middleweight. So I'm going to say I'm going to do what Crawford can't do because I don't believe he's going to beat Canelo. That's what I'd say if I was Boots, do a bit of shit talking and become undisputed at welter, undisputed at 154, undisputed at 160, and just move up the weights. And the
one thing he's got over Crawford, the one thing he does have over Crawford is that he's that little bit bigger, and I think he could easily make middleweight and perhaps even super. He's very, very big for welterweight, and I think he could move all the way up to super middleweight. I mean, I don't see him doing a Canelo and going, because Canelo started at welter, didn't he? Way back when.
154. I think he fought Mayweather at 154.
Oh, that's right.
Mayweather made him do a catch weight at 150.
Yeah, so he's in and around that, and he went all the way up to light heavy. I think sometimes you have to be careful. Like we saw this with Mickey Garcia and people like that. Like you got to be a bit careful. Like sometimes, one like with Crawford at super middle, I think, oh, could that be one weight too many? Are you biting off more than you can chew? You've got to be a bit careful with that.
Yeah, I think so. I think after the Canelo fight, Crawford will retire, and now that's Boots' time to take over, like 154. Once Crawford
do you think
retires, he gets.
Do you think Crawford would retire on a loss? Though? Are you saying that if he beats Canelo, he'd retire, or he'll just retire either way?
Yeah, if he beats him, he'd retire. But I think if he lost, he might want to become undisputed at 154, so they could meet.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and I think Boots really fancies the Crawford fight. He wants it. He wanted it at welterweight.
Right? We know how this works in the boxing game. Crawford ain't getting any younger. Father Time is undefeated. He'll fight Crawford when Crawford is just that little bit on the slide, about 39, 40. Yeah. They go, oh, I've beat a legend. I can see it now.
Exactly. When it's the changing of the guard, it's always the way.
We'll see. Listen, I've got to say, to round up from me, unless there's other points you want to make, I thought I wouldn't say I was surprised. He's a Golden Gloves champion. He's won everything there is to win. He's a brilliant boxer. We've always known that, but we know this, like with Ben Whittaker, sometimes the talent doesn't reach the potential. And look, that fight against Stanionis was absolutely brilliant. So now I have very high expectations now, and I'll be predicting any fight he's in with the skill set he's got, the switch hitting, the jab, the movement. He's strong, he's big, body shot, everything in his arsenal. I'll be predicting any fight he's in moving forward that he's got that, because he's shown he can go up the level. So he's got it all to not all to prove, all to. I've got high expectations of him now, Chris, because he showed last week, didn't he? The weekend just gone, that he can really turn it on when he needs to. So
the only thing he needs to work on is like his motivation, because when he's not up for a fight, he puts in a half-assed performance. He needs to work on that and try and get himself up. So, because like that's the one thing about Crawford, it didn't matter who was fighting, he never put a half-assed performance in. It was all, and Crawford struggled to get the opponents for years. How many times did he try and make the Spence fight? And he only had one belt at welterweight.
Maybe.
So he needs to,
maybe that's the.
And his dad's not motivated to coach him properly when it's the opposition either. His dad did excellent coaching on against Stanionis, but on the other people that have a knee seeing him or them guys, he goes, just knock him out. I'm just going to sit down and chill.
Maybe it's the only question mark on him is consistency. Is he got that consistency? Yeah. But it'll be watch this space. It'll be interesting to see where he go next and how he's promoted.
Because just getting the big fights every fight.
Listen, I think Eddie Hearn, he's got a big week coming up with big, again with Conor Benn. I think Boots is kind of outside of AJ's, his kind of major star, really. His major card. Well, he's got Shakur Stevenson, isn't he, on some form of contract? But Eddie Hearn's stable isn't what it used to be. I think it's fair to say, and I think he's going to want to promote the hell out of this guy, I'd imagine, and to make Eddie that bit of coin that I'm sure he enjoys.
He needs it. He's his only top guy. He's his only top guy now. So well done. Subscribe, like, and subscribe. Boom.